Good morning, friends. Welcome back to my channel. I think this is like the very first preservation video I'm doing, which is exciting. But I've got a couple things going. We got peaches drying. I've washed them. They're drying now. I got broth going. That's gonna be probably for supper. And now I have to do zucchinis and cucumbers and then the peaches. So I think we're gonna start with zucchini. I'm going to get the big ones. I have 3 bigger ones. I'm gonna get them shredded up and in the freezer for baking. I do also like to make a zucchini relish. I have a really good recipe, but I have a few, well, quite a few zucchinis left out in the garden. I'm gonna let them get big and use those for relish and just get these in the freezer so that that's done. And then I have just 3 small ones I'm gonna slice up for chips, and I'm gonna do the same with cucumbers. Never tried it. We like eating the zucchini chips raw as well, so I'm hoping that we like the dehydrated kind. And then with the cucumbers, I'm also going to do a jam, a cucumber and wild mint jelly, not jam, but I have to run to the store and get pectin, and they don't open till 10. So my kids have gone with my sister-in-law, the sister-in-law who brought me so many cucumbers, and they're gone. So the kids are gone for the day with their cousins, or most of the day. So I'm hoping to bang a lot of this out, and then I'm gonna maybe even start on some garbling of herbs, but that'll be a separate video. So if you're interested in that, stay tuned. In the meantime, let's get some preserving done. All right, let's kick things off with shredded zucchini. I am measuring out the first bag just so I knew kind of what it fit, and I thought 3 cups was a good number to fit in these medium-sized freezer bags. And yes, this is about the one time a year that I do buy single-use plastic items. I buy freezer bags because there's some things that are just better done in freezer bags than in containers, and zucchini, and later you'll see peaches, are a couple of those things. So these bags I'm putting 3 cups in, and I think that's a good amount for recipes throughout the winter when I need to pull them out, or for side dishes, or for soups, or whatever. So I was able to get, I think, 4 bags of the 3 cups, and then I had 2 cups left that I put in the last bag. And I will wash and reuse these bags. Now I'm putting the slicer on my food processor so I can get the zucchinis and the cucumbers sliced up. So these are going to be for chips, and we're going to talk about it a bit more later, but what you're going to see here is the zucchini did fairly well because they're not as full of water, I guess, as the cucumbers. So they seem to hold up better, and this works really well for slicing. However, you're going to see that the size varies greatly depending on the pressure that you're exerting on your produce. So I'm just throwing them into bowls here. I got the zucchinis done, and now I'm going to do the cucumbers, and then we're going to season them up and get them onto trays. My plan with this is to dehydrate them. However, my dehydrator trays are full of herbs right now, so I was going to do them in the oven. And well, let's just give you a little bit of a spoiler. They don't end up turning out. So I'm adding some vinegar and some salt and pepper, a good amount of salt and pepper to these bowls. The bigger bowl there on the chair is zucchini, and then the one on the table is cucumbers. So there was actually more cucumbers in a smaller bowl than the less zucchini in the bigger bowl, which is always kind of funny. I'm just getting these 3 ingredients added and then getting in there and tossing everything together. Then adding them to trays, which takes a long time and you don't use very much. You can see I have lots left there. We are going to end up eating those for supper. So just got back from the store. They didn't have pectin. and they didn't have light rum, which wouldn't have mattered because they didn't have pectin. Our store changed ownership earlier this year, earlier in the summer, and it's a learning curve for them, so the new owners. So I don't have wheels. I would probably drive into the next town if my car wasn't in the shop. If the car's in the shop, I don't feel like bicycling 16 kilometers to get pectin and rum and then 16 kilometers back. That's just not happening. It would take all day. So I'll just wait till tomorrow when we go, or tonight, if we go get the car tonight. And yeah, I don't know, feeling kind of defeated about that, but I do still have peaches to deal with. I'm going to set aside 3 pounds to do my peach rum jam. Kind of totally forgot about that until I was thinking about peaches, I guess. I don't know. 3 pounds is what I need. I have 20 pounds, so not that much out of the whole. And then I still have lots of cucumbers, so I'm going to set aside 8 cups I need for that, for the cucumber jam, which actually, now that I don't have pectin, I do have time to go and harvest some wild mint. I have wild mint, but it's in the freezer, which would have been fine. I would have just used that, but now I can harvest some fresh stuff and use that for the jam. So I guess all's well that ends well, but it was disappointing because I was hoping to get all this stuff done today. So the cucumbers, I don't know what I'm going to do with the rest of them. I guess maybe make some relish or something, and that'll be that. So I have the cucumbers to do. I'll set aside 3 pounds of peaches, and then I will slice up the rest. I thought about dehydrating some, but I think I'm just going to freeze them. I'll probably make a cobbler tonight because why not? And then I'll freeze. I'm hoping I can have one more, enough for another cobbler put away in the freezer. I'm just gonna show you the chicken vegetable broth. It is smelling delicious and it's looking great. Everything is coming together nicely. So clear water to yummy broth. So easy to make your own broth if you've never done it. Just put a bunch of stuff in a pot, let it simmer all day, and your house smells amazing and you have a delicious supper. Or what I usually do is I actually usually freeze it and then I have in the freezer for whatever I need broth for. I really do love this time of year. It is stressful but so rewarding and beautiful. So I had a little rest on the couch, we'll talk about that in a minute, but then I figured I was going to start on the pickle spears, so I'm doing just a basic dill pickle recipe. Now, this is me making my brine. I do open kettle canning. It is not recommended. I can't say that I personally would tell anybody to do this, but this is what I do for pickles. So I'm getting my brine going. I'm getting some garlic crushed. I add about 1 clove to each pint jar. And then I'm going to add some dill and stuff the cucumber spears in here. And then I will pour over the hot brine. You may have noticed I brought these jars out of the oven. That is how I like to sterilize my jars. It keeps them nice and hot and dry. So I'll wash them if they need to be washed. Often they're clean enough to just pop in the oven at a low heat. The lowest heat my oven does, I think, is 170. Then I bring them out, fill them, and then I'm going to put the lids and rings on. You're seeing here I'm drying my lid. That is because I keep my sealer lids in hot water on the stove until it's time for them to be used. Then I wipe my rims, dry off the sealer lid, and put it on, and then screw on the ring. With open kettle canning, That's all there is to it. As the jars cool down, they will seal. And I also wanted to mention that I do often, almost always, reuse my sealer lids. I know people will tell you, you gotta buy new ones every time. No, I don't subscribe to that. As long as they look fine, I reuse them, and I don't have any troubles with that. So this is just the leftover brine that I am putting into jars and storing in the fridge. I know I have more cucumbers coming in. You can also use this for carrots. I believe you could also use this for beans as well. Then I am getting my legs workout here, some squats going. I'm getting some vinegar going into a pot, as well as some other ingredients. So while I was having my little pity party about not being able to get pectin and rum, I sat on the couch and I watched Jessica from Three Rivers Homestead. She runs the Every Bit Counts challenge in August, and she was doing a peach salsa. So that's what I'm going to try, is a recipe for peach salsa. I will link it below. This peeler is a serrated peeler. Highly love it. Definitely, if it's comes across your life, hang on to it. I love it for peaches and mangoes. That's primarily what I use it for, but any soft flesh that you need to peel, it's great for that. So I'm getting my peaches chopped up here into fairly small dices and adding them to that pot of vinegar. And these are Freestone peaches, so they are super easy to peel, and they were in beautiful shape, and they were just, the flavor of these was phenomenal. So happy I ended up buying these, and I actually ended up going and buying a second box, which you will see me deal with in a future video. But I'm also adding garlic to this, and all the scraps from all of this produce is getting sent to my friend with her chickens. I often compost, but our compost bin is pretty full right now, so I'm just going to send it in a bag to my friend with her chickens. And the peach skins I'm actually saving, you may have seen, into that container, and we're going to bake those or dry them for peach powder. Alright, so I got jalapenos chopped up, and now I'm chopping up some red bell pepper, and I added that to the pot, and in between I just pulled off my broth. So then I'm adding a few other seasonings and some honey to sweeten instead of sugar, and getting the whole recipe going. You're going to see it in a second here. It's just beautiful. I also went out and grabbed some cilantro from the garden. The last little bits, all my cilantro is going to seed, but I had to just harvest a bit here for this beautiful concoction. Look at all those colors. I love things like this. So there's purple onion in there, red bell pepper, we've got the yellow peaches, the green jalapenos and cilantro. It's just beautiful. And here is the state of my kitchen on days like today. And actually, this isn't even that bad looking back on it. The things on the floor were the worst of it. So I got that salsa cooked up according to the recipe, and then I filled some jars. These are half pints, and then there's a little quarter pint that gets filled in here too. And then they're going to go into the water bath canner. And I make sure to wipe my rims with vinegar because that cuts through any stickiness or oil or anything that might be on the edges of the jars. So here you can get a better view of me using those boiling water pot, or hot water pot, sorry, to keep my sealers hot. You kind of want everything to be the same temperature, and especially when it's going into the water bath canner so that it doesn't crack going from cold to boiling hot. I like to add a splash of vinegar because we have extremely hard water here where I live, and it just keeps everything looking clear and not like cloudy or scummy. Once those got in, I pulled out the zucchini and cucumber chips, and fail. They were so baked to the bottom of this pan. I think had I used a silicone baking sheet, I would have had a much better outcome. They tasted good. The parts that I could get off, they were delicious. But I think if I were to do it this way again, number one, I would need to cut them into thicker slices so that this doesn't happen. Obviously, I'd have to use a knife and manpower. And then I think I would have to crack the oven door too, so that it doesn't actually just like bake them. Or, you know, just use the dehydrator that I own instead of using the racks for air drying herbs. Okay, time to bring out this peach salsa. I have not actually taste tested this, so I'm really looking forward to trying it. And it's not something that I would have thought of on my own, so I'm really glad for other YouTubers. And I really love watching other YouTuber preservation videos. It's this time of year, it's my favorite topic to watch and just to get some new ideas. So not only was I doing all this preserving today, I also needed to make bread. So this is something I do maybe like once a week or every second week, and my recipe makes 2 loaves. So I'm just getting all the ingredients into the bowl here, kneading it up and getting it rising. This is something that I do by hand now. We did have a bread maker that we used until its dying days, and do I miss it? Yeah, because it was convenient, but I don't miss having that extra appliance. We are self-defined minimalists, and we really enjoy just using a bowl and our hands and maybe a spoon to now make bread and some loaf pans. So I'm getting this bread to go through its first rise, and while that's happening, I am finally going to clean up the kitchen. The bread is almost done its first rise, so I am buttering the 2 glass loaf pans that I use and then forming the dough into each pan and then hopping in the shower. Hey everyone, it is the same day, but it is later in the day. The kids are home. I showered, had a proper shower because it is our mom's night, our homeschool group. The moms get together maybe like once a month, and just to support one another and have a evening of discussion. So that's tonight. So I'm hoping to, well, I will get these peaches processed, I guess, and then have supper. The bread is baking, we got soup, and we're just eating the rest of those zucchini and cucumbers, I guess. That's what we're having tonight. And a peach cobbler for dessert. So I'm going to get the cobbler going, and I'm going to just peel and slice the rest and put them in the freezer. So let's go. As mentioned, here is my favorite peeler for peeling peaches, going into that container with all the other peels. And then here I'm just slicing, removing. So what I like to do is I like to halve the peach and then remove the pit and just slice it. And right now I'm just slicing it into this bowl or measuring cup, I guess it is, because this is going to become a cobbler. So I did save, or use, I guess, this much for a cobbler. I think it must have been about 5 peaches. And then I'm getting the honey in there instead of sugar, and some arrowroot powder to thicken it, some cinnamon, and the peaches. Stirring that all up and cooking it on the stove until it's all melted and beautifully together. Now I'm making the cobbler topping, so there's flour in there. I used a monk fruit sweetener, some baking powder, and some salt. And then I'm going to cut in the butter. So I know it's kind of jumping around a lot, but if you're home as a mom or as a wife or as a single person and you're doing gardening preservation, you know that it's never just one project at a time. You gotta keep as much going as you can. Now I'm adding in the milk here and getting that all mixed up to go onto the peaches. Just using an 8x8 dish, pouring in that lovely gooey peachy concoction, and then I'll add my cobbler topping. I never did show you guys how this turned out, but it was really nice. And I don't know that I'm a huge cobbler person. I prefer crisps, but it did taste pretty good. And the bread is ready, and the cobbler's going in, and we're gonna have supper. Okay, back to peeling peaches. So yeah, I just peeled up the rest of the peaches other than what I saved for my peach rum jam. And I am actually slicing them into this 9x13 dish so that I can see how much I have. And then I thought I could only get one more freezer pack, but I ended up getting two, so I can actually make 2 cobblers or 2 crisps or, you know, whatever, and I'll freeze them in these bags. Had I wanted this for smoothies or frozen eating, I would have laid these out on a baking sheet and flash froze them so that they don't stick together, but since I plan to use them in baking, they're all going in together. Ready for the freezer. Finally, time to deal with these peels. They're going on a silicone sheet because I learned my lesson from the zucchinis and the cucumbers, and they're just going to go in the oven on the lowest temperature, and I'm going to leave them as I go to my mom's night. Okay, it's the next day and I got my pectin. Now I'm getting prepared to make my cucumber and wild mint jam. So just dicing up these cucumbers pretty small, julienning them pretty much, and then dicing them pretty small to be a nice bite when it comes time to eating the jam. And I needed 8 cups, and the cucumbers that I had set aside worked out to be exactly 8 cups. Like, I don't know when that has ever happened, but I was pretty proud of it. So I did finish off that recipe. I will link it below, and I got it all canned up. Same kind of process that you've seen over and over, but here they are coming out. Unfortunately, I did cut the sugar and they did not set. I only cut it, I think, by a cup or a half a cup even, but I haven't tried it yet, but it's pretty runny. And on the stove, I'm working on my peach rum jam. I will be sure to show you the recipe for this too here on the screen. Love, love, love this recipe. I haven't made it in several years. And in the meantime, my kids were chowing down on the peach skins. They loved this, and they were very upset that I was going to whir them up into powder. So I did decide to buy some more and do some dehydrated peaches. So the peach rum jam has come off. I got the rum in, stirred that in, let it cool, skimmed off the foam, got it into jars, and then it was done. So here's everything I got from my big preservation day and a half, which I was hoping to be one day. I got 2 medium freezer bags of peaches, 14 cups of shredded zucchini, and then the sliced fresh cucumbers and zucchini, we ended up eating those for supper because the chips didn't turn out. I made peach rum jam, 6 quarter pints and 2 half pints. The peach salsa, I was able to get 5 half pints and 1 quarter pint. I had 5 pints of pickles, and then the 7.5 pints of cucumber jam, as well as 6 quarter pints, and then the peach skin powder. Thank you so much for watching this video. It really does mean a lot to me. I would love to see you in the next video, so hit that subscribe button if it feels good for you. Have a great day, and I'll see you in that next one. Bye!